For the double dumbbell, single leg, Romanian deadlift, the first thing we need to do is bring these dumbbells up to the hip position. There's going to be two different positions you can use for the double dumbbell Romanian deadlift with a single leg, and I'll show you both. But before we get into that, the single leg Romanian deadlift obviously is going to require a certain level of balance, but there's going to be a couple of key things in there that are going to help you maintain stability throughout this movement. One is going to be your feet. If you have shoes that are kind of not stiff, they just don't provide you a good platform, probably not a good idea. If the shoes have a really high heel or they're really worn around the toe section, probably not a good idea. A great recommendation for any kind of single leg Romanian deadlift movement is bare feet, or using something like the Vibram 5 fingers, or whatever you got, or the Merrill version of it. The reason being, there's so much of the balance that comes from our feet. Our toes are able to spread out. We can literally like grip the floor with our feet. So it makes a big difference. If you're having any issues with this and you know it's not your legs, your hips, your upper back, or your grip, the feet may be the problem. When setting up for this, first thing we're going to do is center our feet between the dumbbells, bend at the knees and hips. We only have to do this once for each set. Wrap the thumb and fingers around, extend the knees and hips, shoulder blades back. Now we got to get into this starting position. To do so, I'm going to plant one foot firmly on the ground, and I'm going to bring my other leg up at about 90 degrees. You can also choose to have that back leg starting fully extended and straight. The arms, they can either be at the sides with the shoulder blades back, or they can be dumbbells right in front of the hips. Again, the shoulder blades are still back. I prefer to use the version with the dumbbells in front. To initiate movement, we're going to take in a nice deep belly breath. We're going to push the butt back, bending mostly at the hips, slightly at the knee. Shins are going to be fairly vertical. Everyone's going to have a natural stopping point. This is the point where my hip starts to run into my femur, or my femur into my hip. From here, I'm going to drive through my foot, extending the knee and hip, all the way back to the fully extended upright position. As I'm lowering it, I'm using my upper back and my lats to keep the dumbbells pulled in nice and tight. What I mean by that is my lats, my upper back, I'm using those muscles to pull the dumbbells in forward closer to my center of gravity versus just kind of letting the dumbbells hang out in front. They're kind of going all over the place. The other variation with this movement is, again, keeping the dumbbells at the side. This is all a personal preference. Slight bend in the knees and hips. The nice thing about it, you don't have to worry about the dumbbells running into the shins or the legs or the knee or anything like that. Some may find it more difficult to control. Once complete, bend at the knees and hips, lowering those dumbbells back to the ground. Just remember, everyone has a natural stopping point for the bottom of that movement. Even if your stopping point is right here, that's okay. As long as you're still maintaining a nice, flat, rigid spine, you have control of the movement, I think that's great. It might be a good idea to progressively work towards getting a little bit lower in that movement, but you never want to sacrifice the position of your spine for getting lower in that movement. Your back leg as well, experiment with which variation gives you the most balance. Again, I prefer the bent knee variation, but some people tend to like the variation where that leg is sticking straight back as they come through. And don't knock the bare feet. Give it a shot if you're having any balance issues. That's how you do a double dumbbell, single leg Romanian deadlift.